And hello, welcome to codeLive. Today, we are going to learn about reactive screen components in Flow, which is a new feature that has come in the past two releases. It is still in beta, so I will need to show you this, obviously, forward-looking statement. Remember that Salesforce is a public traded company and don't make any financial decisions based on technologies or features that are not yet available for the public. So this feature that we are going to be seeing today is in beta. So, I already warned you. My name is Julian Duque. I'm a principal developer advocate here at Salesforce, and I'm super happy to be again here with you all in Code Live. So, let me share my screen and I will show you a couple of things that I have ready for you. Remember, we have our Salesforce Developer Portal. Here you can find all of our information, content that we are releasing, documentation, blog posts, podcast videos, and all of the latest and greatest news. Dreamforce registration is open. If you are planning to attend Dreamforce, please go ahead to developer.salesforce.com and start the registration right now. I also wanted to introduce you to a new series that we launched in Salesforce Plus, which is How to Dev, a series originally from Salesforce Plus, where you can learn how to develop applications on the Salesforce platform. I think we published seven episodes that you can go ahead and watch them right now. Stefan Chandler Garcia did a great job creating this content for you all. So go ahead, Salesforce Plus, and start learning how to dev. We also have the YouTube channel, the Salesforce Developers YouTube channel, where you are watching us right now. And there are like some content that I wanted to share with you. If you go to playlist, there are like two playlists that I want to share. One is what is Data Cloud or Data Cloud Decoded, and the other one is DevOps Essentials. These are two new pieces of content that we have been working on. One, you are going to upskill all of the DevOps skills that you need to work with Salesforce platform. We have been creating different videos teaching you how to properly do DevOps on the Salesforce ecosystem. And also, we have the Data Cloud Decoded when Daniel and Aditya are explaining what is Data Cloud and how you as Salesforce developers can start interacting with it. And I think that's all the news I had for you all. Make sure you check the website, all of this content, what we announced for summer 23. And now it is time to start with today's content. What are reactive components? Well, remember when we are working with Lightning Web Components that if we change something on an input immediately, almost real time, some other place where I am listening for those changes are going to update that information. So with Lightning Web Components or with JavaScript applications, reactivity is almost free for us. We don't need to implement too much. We are listening for events, and the DOM, the document object model, is reacting to those events, and we can do basic real-time interactions in our applications. But we don't have that in Flow. Remember, Flow or screen flows are also using Lightning Web Components or standard components, but as of today, we don't have that reactivity support. If you want to add that reactivity support, you will need to write your own custom Lightning Web Components and expose those components into Flow so you can benefit from that reactivity. But there is no way to communicate between components. Until today, this beta feature that I'm going to be talking about, now it is possible. Now there is reactivity between standard components, Lightning Web Components, and standard components, and vice versa. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today and why it is important for us. But to understand a little bit more about why it is important, I have an org. This org doesn't have support for reactive components. Since it is beta, we will need to enable it. I will show you later how to enable it. And I will be creating a flow. And this flow, it's going to be built using the common approach or the past approach. We will need to create multiple screens to be able to pass data from one screen to the other so we can like share data across multiple components. So let's create a new flow. This flow, it's going to be a screen flow. And obviously, let's start with a screen flow. Okay. This screen flow, here, I want to have a data table with multiple items. Let's see, we want to show products. We want to get products with product name, the price, and then we want to calculate a discount for a specific product I select. Okay, so let's call these products. Perfect. Let's add a data table. This is the products table. Let me call this products. And I need a data source. So let me create a new resource. This is going to be a record choice set. This is product items. And this is going to be a price book entry because I want to get the price. So this is going to be a price book entry. Give me all of them. Let's see. I want all of them. The choice label, it's going to be name. Data type, we want the currency. And the value unit price. Okay. Let's see. This resource hasn't been created. So let me go ahead first and get the records. So let me get the records. The records is get product items. Now I can get the price book entry. Bring me everything, all the records. And don't sort them. Now I can create the screen flow. This is going to be products. Now let me create the product table. Products table. This is products, the component. Now I can get them from the record collection. Okay, now I have from the record collection. And let me configure the columns. The first column is going to be the product name. And the next column is going to be the unit price. And I will need to configure the selection, a single selection. And let's mark it as required. Okay, so now let me this codeLive reactive components. But right now we don't have reactivity. So let me test quickly if this works. I'm going to debug this flow. Let me see. Okay, perfect. I have a data table with a lot of different products. We can filter this out. Maybe get just the diesel ones. Yes, maybe just get the diesel ones so we don't have that much information. So conditions, when the product name contains diesel. So now what we want to do is select one of those products and then apply a discount. How can we do that? So first we will need to select the product, then we will need to apply the discount, then we will be able to see the price. Okay? First, let me see if I have any question. Sometimes I just think to use a ScreenFlow instead of doing LWC, even though we have exponential extra power there. Anyone else? Well, when it makes sense, sure, go ahead. Use the local tools because these are going to be a little bit more productive. When you need like extra customization, pixel perfect components, things that are not possible with the screen flows, now you will use LWC or you can mix and match. Today, we will be mixing and matching pretty much using both the LWC and these screen flows. Beautiful. So now let's build the next screen. So remember, we are not using reactivity now. So the next screen, this is select discount. And for the select discount, let's add a slider. So let's add a name here. No, sorry, not a name. I need a text. So I need a text, a slider, and currency. Don't mind me, I'm not using layouts. I'm doing this like really quick because this is not the main idea, but later I'm going to be improving this flow. So this text is the product name. And the value here is where I am connecting the selection from the previous screen. So now I'm mapping product name with the name I selected previously. And this is the price list with the price that I selected previously. Okay, perfect. That's the price. And then the discount, let's say maximum, we are going to do 30%. This is the discount. Perfect. So now we have what we selected. And the last screen, which is going to be the finalization, is the total discount. So the total discount, it will be a currency. And this currency is total discounted price. And the value here, we will need to have a formula. So this formula is discounted price formula, is of type currency, and we need to give the products table, the selection in this case is the unit price. And then we will need to subtract the unit price and the value from the discount. And this is a percentage, so it needs to be divided by 100. Let me see, check the syntax. Formula is okay. Let me save this. And now the flow must work. Let me see if I'm making any mistake. Yes, we can change the visibility of the fields on the screen based on selection. Sure, of course, that's with conditional visibility. Okay, so we have the first step, which is select the price. So it's going to be 100,000. This is the product we are going to select. Next, we have the generator, 100,000, and we will add a 10% discount. And then we will get the final value, which is 90,000. So this is working as expected. But what happened? To see the calculated discount, we have to do 3 screens. And what if I need to change something? So I need to go back, change the value, go again, and now I'm starting to have problems here. How can we fix this with reactivity? So let's first activate or enable reactivity. I'm going to be sharing a resource with you. This is build screens with reactive components. This is beta, as I told you. So you will need to opt in to be able to use this feature. So let me go ahead on my org. I will go to setup. Hitting setup, I will find process automation settings. And in process automation settings, let me zoom this in a little bit. You are going to find a opt-in. Reactive screens make your flow screen components react to changes on the same screen, reducing the need for multiple screens in a flow. So let us reactive screens beta. Let us activate this option. We will save. And now we can go to our flow and fix it. So now our org has this feature enabled. So let me go to the flow. Let me refresh. And now what I will do is go to products. And we have, let me get rid of the other screens because we don't need them. Can I copy components here? Can I move to other screen? I don't think so. Let me see. This is the resources, screen components. Do you know if I can change when this is used? That I don't know. And I just don't want to waste too much time. So this is copy element. And I don't think I can paste it here. Okay, don't worry. So let me delete the elements. We are not going to use this. Oh, I need to get rid of the formula as well. Let me copy because we are going to use it later. Okay. Let me delete this. And now we will use just one screen. Okay. So let me see. There is an issue. This is not loading. This is fantastic. Let me refresh. Now this is working. Okay. Now I have just one screen. So remember what we did is we had a text field. We had a currency field. We had a slider and another currency field. which is going to be, so this is going to be the product name, the value. So now here, I'm going to select the value from the table. So I am immediately attaching the output of the data table to the input of this field. So if reactivity is enabled, I should get this information automatically. The same with currency. This is the unit price, and this is coming from the table. The selected value range is 30. The step size, let's make it 5 to do it easily. And this is discount value. And now this is total discounted price. And the value is going to be a formula. So let's do this formula. Discounted value. And now this is going to be a currency. And here we will need to get, obviously, the unit price. It's the unit price multiplied by the discount divided by 100. So now this should give us the value. Everything on the one screen. So let me see if I have any questions. We can also use search bar with data table, right? Is that future GA? Data table is GA right now. Yes. Also, are reactive components supported in all types of flow? They are supported in screen flows, just in screen flows. After enabling the reactive nature, I tried the conditional visibility of the lookup fields based on pick list options, but it didn't work out. Oh, let me show you something in a moment. And can we paste data from LWC to Flow? Yes, I'm going to be showing that. Awesome. So all of these questions are great. Now let me see if this works. So now we have the same functionality in one screen. Let me save, debug, and see how it works. Let me see if this is working as we are expecting. Okay. So I would be selecting one of the products, and now you see that immediately the product name and the unit price is updated. Okay? Immediately after I select. And when I start changing the value of my slider, I should get the total discounted price, but I don't know why it is not working. Now we have to figure that out because this should be working. So let me go ahead and do a debugging because this should be working. Why this is not reacting to the value? Oh, the default value is discounted value, which is a formula. And let me check the formula because it is the unit price Okay, let's try something and get this directly from the table because maybe it is not passing the value from. So this is the first. Let me rewrite this. So I have the data table here, selected row, unit price. Okay, and remove this, multiply now by the discount value, dot value, divided by 100. Oh, now I see what was the problem. I had the formula wrong. I had the formula wrong. See? Let me cancel because I just figured out that this is not the total discounted price. We want to have here is the discount value dot value. Okay, check syntax. It's wrong, obviously, because this is a character we don't need here. This is the beautiful of codeLive. Now syntax is valid. Let us see if it works again. Yeah, the discount field is incorrect. Yes, thank you very much for your couple eyes, because I sometimes miss these things. Now you can see that the value is changing. But I should have something happen. Why it is not calculating when I am selecting for the first time? It is not getting the selected value. So we can fix that by fixing the formula. Let me fix the formula by adding something here. Yes, let's do if this is greater than 0, let's pass that value. Otherwise, pass 0 and divide. And this is, let's add parentheses and divide by 100. Syntax, valid. Oh, I can easily do this. Divide by 100 and remove this. This is valid. Okay, now this should be more reactive, more real time. So immediately after I select the product, it should get me the total discounted price. And if I start moving the slider, I just get the discount price. So basically, this is reactivity. So I'm doing the changes in just one screen, and I don't need to start creating a lot of different multiple screens that get values from previous one. I can see the discounted price without going back and forward. So this is a great improvement of the user experience of flows. And there is more to come. A lot of more features are going to be added to this. One thing to take into account is the considerations for reactivity. So that document that I'm sharing with you, please go ahead and scan it. I'm also going to add these resources on the description of the video, is to show you what fields are reactive as of today and what fields are not supported yet. I mean, as of today, they are not supported, but in the future, they will be. So certain flow-related items are not supported. For example, record fields, choices such as radio buttons, pick lists, multi-select, choice lookup, and so forth. So J. Bob Clyde, I think somebody was asking about this. You were asking about the timeline to support this. I am not exactly when, but they are working on multiple releases to add support about this. And somebody else was asking about visibility. Pradeep, yes. So that's why it is not working. Also, when you are trying to get values from across object cross objects in a formula, it will not work. And there are like also some components that don't work in reactivity as of today, like long text areas, file uploads, display text, etc. The supported components are listed here, but remember there are like certain features that are not available. So make sure which components are reactive or not before start like implementing these in your projects. Also, there are certain operators and functions in formulas that are supported as of today. Others, they will be adding support later. So you can find all of the different operators and functions here for the formulas that are supported today. Okay? And this is from summer 23. So if the initial value is null, use null value. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashish. Okay. Now that we learn how to pass information from a standard component to a standard component, let's see how can we pass values from a standard component to a Lightning Web component. Okay? For that, let's go to our Visual Studio Code. Here, I already have a Scratch org and I have an empty project. So let me create a new Lightning Web component. This new Lightning Web component, what will we do? Let's play with some JavaScript features. Okay, let's display color text. This is going to be our component. So our component display color text is going to receive a color from flow. Let's say from flow, we can select a color and then pass that color to this Lightning Web component, and we can change something in our component. So our component will receive one variable, which is going to be the color. And obviously, this needs to be an API. So let me get the API. The API decorator here, and a text, another API. This is going to be the text that we are getting from the Lightning Web component. And let's add default values. The default color, let's see, it's going to be black. And the default text is going to be hello codeLive. This is something that it's going to happen here. And that's it. Okay, now let me go to the HTML, and I'm going to be adding the text here. So let me add a class, div with a class. Let's use some Lightning Design System. Let's align this in the center. Align absolute center. And let's add the text. Here we are getting the text. This is with this. So here we are getting the text, and we will need the color. How can we pass the color here? So let me align also. So LSDS, I need to pass this as a heading. Small. And I pass the color as a style. Let's create a computed style. So let's call this color style and return this from the Lightning Web component. Color style. And it will return its color, this color. I think that's the CSS. Okay, this is the CSS. Yes. Okay. Now I need to enable my component as a flow component. So let's expose this and let me set the targets and let's configure the target. This is going to be a flow screen and I need to pass the configuration. Forgot how target configs. Yes. So let me pass the configuration and I have two properties to pass. So let me pass the target config. This is going to be the flow screen. So for flow screen, I will need to have the two. The property, which is the color, type string, and I can add a label, color name, and the other property will be the text. So the property, this is the text, also type a string, and the label, let's say text to display. And we can also define a master label for this component. This is going to display color text. And we can add a description as well. Display a text with selected color. This is one component. So the main key here is to specify the component as a flow screen and to have an API. Okay. It is applicable for custom object. Yes. Also, Heroku Flow, same thing as Salesforce Flow. No, they are different things. Heroku Flow is for deployments. Okay. What about to use default in the property instead of assigning value from the property in JS? What do you mean about that, default in the property? If you can share an example, Luis. And Medic, I have a question. Can we add a rule for a text per se length of 20 characters or less? Can we give that in the target configs? In the target configs, I think we can add that. I might need to check the documentation. So target configs for LWC Salesforce. Let me see what options do we have. So this is targets. Okay, let me see the target config. Description, label name, property, data source, default description, filter. This is a specific filter. Max mean, yes, for an attribute tab. You can specify max mean. So do you want to specify that? Let's say a maximum of 30 characters. Let's do 40, maybe. Okay, so we have the Lightning Web component that we need to do is deploy. So let me SF project deploy preview. Let's see what is going to try to deploy to my org. Is the display color text. Beautiful. Now let's start the deployment. I'm using the new Salesforce CLI SF. This is the new CLI that we are going to be using. This is practically going to replace SFDX. So I would recommend you to start learning about SF. It simplifies the job. It makes commands easier to remember. And we have been covering these specifically DevOps commands in our DevOps Essential series. So go ahead and take a look. Cool. This is deployed. Now, let me go back to my flow. Let me close all of these things. Let me refresh. And let me hide the QR. Beautiful. Default equal. I don't know about that JavaScript syntax. JavaScript default parameters. As default parameters. Default parameters. I don't know. Is this something new? I know from functions, but as class properties, I am not sure. If it is supported by JavaScript, sure, definitely it can be done. Oh, in the targets config property. Oh, okay. I was thinking about JavaScript. My world is JavaScript. Yes, you can use it in the target config. I am more used to JavaScript, so that's why I'm adding the values there. But definitely you can use it there. Thank you, Luis. I live in a JavaScript world. Okay, now let me see. I have my component. Where is my component? It should be deployed. Oh, of course, I am not in the Scratch org. So I need to go to the Scratch org. Let me open the Scratch org because I deployed to the Scratch org. I didn't deploy to the other org where I was working with the flow. So again, since this is a Scratch org, I don't think I have the reactivity enabled. So let me go to process automation settings, enable reactivity, and let's go and create a flow. And this flow is going to be a screen flow. Let me create the screen flow. And now I should have the display color text. Okay, so I will be asking for a text and I will be asking for a color. So this is a text. This is a message to display. And this is a color. And now the display color text. This is the custom component. So the API name, this is the color text. And the color name is coming from color. And the text to display is coming from message to display. Okay. And now this is LWC integration. Let me save reactive LWC. And let's see if this works. So if this works, I have a hello codeLive here. If I change a text in here, hello folks, this is reactive. Flow to LWC. Huh, it's working. And what happens if I pass a color red? It changes to red. But obviously, this is going to be super insecure because this is vulnerable to CSS injection. I can easily pass something like font size 32px, and I can do certain magic or craziness in here because obviously I am injecting or I'm opening an API to receive CSS. But I just wanted to show you kind of like an idea of what is possible. I can pass values from flow in real time directly to a Lightning Web component. Okay? Beautiful, but obviously sanitize the input. The API is super insecure here, and I don't want you to start, adding vulnerabilities to your application like this one. Maybe if we have like a peak selection or something like that, or more validation in the component, sure, it will be possible. Okay, we saw how to communicate from the standard component to the Lightning Web component. But how can we do the other way around? From the Lightning component to, to the standard component. Okay, so this is possible by using the flow attribute change event. So let me create another component, and this is going to be called map select Lightning web component. Let's call it map select. And to simplify this, I already have this component created, but I'm going to be going through it to explain it a little bit. So I have the Lightning Web component here, the JavaScript, and I'm using the flow attribute change event from the module Lightning Flow Support. So if I want to bubble up events from Lightning Web component to Flow, I need to use this flow attribute change event. So normally my component, and let me add the template, I'm using the Lightning map. So the Lightning map is going to show me a Google map with different locations. And those locations are in an array. It's called map markers. So I have a location in San Francisco, which is the Salesforce Tower. And I have a couple of restaurants that are around that Salesforce Tower. So 50 Fremont Street, it's called Julie's Kitchen, and the other one, it's called Tender Greens. Those are like two restaurants that are closer to the Salesforce Tower. And I have a value here. This value is the value that I want to use on the event, which is the onMarker select. So if you see the code, this is the onMarker select event that this component has. So this also works on any other event, like on change for a text, on selected if you have a selection or a pick list or something in Lightning Web component. You can use the same event here. What we are doing here is create a flow attribute change event called selected marker value. In that event, the selected marker value is where we are going to be sharing that information back to Flow. And after we pass the information we want to pass, then we dispatch the event. So what we do, we trigger the event bubble up to Flow, and we get what we need. Last but not least, let me add the metadata configuration for this component. Same, I am exposing the Flow component. I'm specifying that this is going to be a Flow screen component. And the only configuration here is the selected marker value, is the value that I am sending on that event. That's what I'm going to be using in Flow. Let me deploy. Let me see while this deploy if I have some questions. Is there a time lag between each input key you press? Since everything is happening in the browser, the time lag is going to be nanoseconds or microseconds. It's very, very small. It's the time that the JavaScript engine takes from passing the event from one component to the other. So this is unnoticeable. The performance is going to be almost real time. This is not going through the network, is what I mean. This is happening directly in the browser, in the DOM. Yes, this is client-side dependent. So I have a quick question regarding the locations. Was just wondering, is there a way to get a precise location in JavaScript? Because I currently am having problem getting the exact location. Well, with the exact location, there is something called the I think this is the location API in JavaScript. MDN location API. If I am not wrong, yes, the location API. So you can use the location. No, this is not the location API. This is the geolocation API. Sorry, there are like two different things. So there is something in the browsers called the geolocation API. So using the geolocation API, you will be able to get the current position of the browser. Obviously, since a desktop browser doesn't have an embed GPS, it is not possible to get the exact location. But if you are triggering this functionality from a mobile phone on a browser, that device has a GPS and has a precise location. So this will be useful. Or if you are using the map component here, basically these locations are using addresses, and this is using the Google's geolocation service to translate the address to the latitude and longitude. But you can also pass the latitude and longitude on the map markers. If you go to the Lightning Component Library, and you search for the map component in the specific, no, in the documentation for the location. Location can be an address or can be a combination of latitude and longitude. So if you want the exact precise location of that marker, you might need to use latitude and longitude. Awesome that you use the geolocation API. I have not done the LWC super batch yet. I need to do it. Okay, what I was doing, yes, I was doing this now LWC to flow. And let's use the same thing here. Now we'll need to get the map. So let's refresh. So we get the map component, LWC integration. I already deployed, so I have a map selection here. And let me have a text. And this text is called the selected marker. And the value is coming from it should come from map select, but I'm not seeing map select here. Because it doesn't have an API name. This is map select. Cool. It doesn't have a selected marker value. And now map select, selected market value. And then this should work. Let's hope it works. Let's hope it works. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, message to display. Let's try this map in red. And I have locations. So selected marker by default is San Francisco HQ, but I want to go to the kitchen. And this is the tender greens. And you see the value is updating. And this is the kitchen. No, this is the HQ. This is Jules. And if I click here, it also works. So all of the unselected marker value events, even from the location list or from the markers, are triggering that event, and that event is bubbling up the value up to my standard component. And what if I want to do reactivity between two LWCs? Is that possible? I have not tried, but codeLive is for experimenting. What if the message to display it is coming from the map? Should this work? We don't know. Let us try, and this will be interesting. Okay, so SFHQ, color red, and if I change, it is connecting also Lightning Web Component to Lightning Web Component within a screen flow. How cool is that? Huh? How cool is that? So, some documentation, make components and formulas reactive. Go ahead, scan this resource. I'm going to be sharing these resources after this video is published on the description of the video. And now it is time for you to start playing with this feature. Remember, this is beta. It is constantly improving. If you have any feedback, let us know. I posted this invitation on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. And if you have any feedback, please share it with me. I will be able to share this feedback with the engineers and product managers working on this feature. This is something that really improves the game while working with screen flows. I hope you like this content that we prepare for you today. And please stay connected. Let me share again because I wanted to show you something here on YouTube. We have more codeLive coming. So next week, we will have Mohit Srivastava talking about how to synchronize components in LWC using the Refresh View API. Then we will have Daniel, how to use external actions in Marketing Cloud account engagement. Then we will have an AMA about Einstein GPT with Philippe. People were asking about Philippe, and Philippe is coming to host an AMA. Alex is going to be talking about data weave extension for Visual Studio Code, and we will have Akshata again talking about integrating the Salesforce Pop Sub API with any point code builder. So we have MuleSoft, we have Einstein GPT, we have Data Cloud and Marketing Cloud, we have Lightning Web Components, a lot of useful information in the upcoming codeLive. So don't forget to click on the bell to receive notifications. And that's pretty much what we have today to share. Let me be ready to say the proper goodbyes. And thank you very much for joining me on this codeLive. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.